So it's been a while since we talked about cross-section, so let's go back and review. For cross-section, you have a solid 3D object, and you want to see what polygon, what 2D shape is made when you slice through different parts. So we know polygons, we could see a square, we could see a rectangle, we could see a triangle, and all different types of triangles we know. Now, a circle's not a polygon, but we could see that. We could see an ellipse. So it just depends how we cut these 3D objects, and we want to know, when we cut it different ways, what 2D shapes do you see? So, parallel to the base. Let's go through this one together. When we did cross sections, you worked with a partner and you used Play-Doh. So I've made a cylinder out of Play-Doh. It's not perfect, but I try. And so now we're going to cut it in different ways and see what shapes we see. So this is parallel to the base. A cylinder has two bases. They're both circles. This is a base and this is a base. So if I want to cut parallel to the base, I want to cut in such a way that it's not going to cross this, right? Parallel lines don't touch. So I'm going to be cutting, it could be in the middle, but somewhere that's parallel to the two bases. So for this one, I'll put it on its side, and I'll cut parallel with the floss. And when I open it up, what shape do I see? It should be a circle. So you can draw in or you can write circle here. You don't have to write it and draw it. One is good. So that's a parallel cut. And you're going to do that for each of the solids. And you don't need to build it, but you need to think about a prism, a rectangular prism like this. You've got something like a square over here, rectangles going all around, something like a square over here. And these are the bases. This is the base and this is the base. And if you cut it parallel to the base, what shape would you see? And you would draw that or write that here. Same thing with the cone. It's not perfect, but it's a cone. It has one base, that's a circle. And if I cut parallel to the base, what shape do you think I'll see when I open it up? And for the sphere. So you're thinking about the 3D objects, you're thinking about cutting them in different ways, and what you will see, it doesn't really have a base, but kind of like through the middle, what do you think you would see if you opened it up? That's what you do for the parallel one. Then perpendicular. Perpendicular lines cross and make a 90-degree angle. We've been talking a lot about angles. So I'm putting my little cylinder back together because I sliced it parallel to the base. So I'm mushing it back together. And now I'm going to see if I cut it perpendicular, if I make a cut this way, what will I see when I open it up? And I want to make sure I have two pieces, not four. So I'm really trying to get these to go back together. I might wind up with four. Okay. So if you cut it perpendicular, going through the base, cutting through, I'll stand it up for this one, and I'm going to be cutting this way. That's perpendicular. And when I open it up, what do I see? I should see rectangle. I should see a rectangle. And so you would write or draw a rectangle here. And that's what you're going to do for each of these. So on the rectangular prism, these are the bases. If you went perpendicular, if you went through there, what would you see when you opened it up? That's a perpendicular cut. If you had the cone and you did a perpendicular cut through the base, cutting through the middle all the way down, when you open that up, what will you see? Let's see. If I do a perpendicular cut going through here, what do you think that's going to look like? Make a prediction? Let's see. Looks like a triangle to me. So here for perpendicular to the base for the cone, you can write triangle or draw it. And you're going to do that for each of the shapes. The last one is askew or slanted. So if you do a skew or a slanted cut, what would it look like? Well, I'm going back to my cylinder, putting it back together, and I'm going to try to do a slanted cut. You got to think about, what will that look like? There's the cylinder. So a slanted cut, I'm going to kind of go along here. I'm going to try to cut it that way. So if I start like here and kind of slant it down, it's kind of, it's not quite a rectangle, it's more circular than that. This is an ellipse. It's like a stretched out long circle. And so you could draw that here. So try that with each of the solids, do the shapes, and then check yourself on the notes. And then try practicing.